Is the city attorney coming that you know of, or should we wait? You think he's coming? There he is, right there.
Got his tea with him.
Charging him to be on time.
Yeah. Hurry up, you get in the chair in 30 seconds, you'll be on time. Okay. All right, now we are in order. I'll offer an invocation at this time. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us through another day. We thank you for continuing to watch over us and bless us. We ask that you would forgive us of our many shortcomings and also allow us to forgive those who have mistreated us in whatever way it may be. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the purpose of the call meeting is for the presentation of the proposed fiscal 2025-26 budget and the budget message. For that, I will call on the city manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and department heads and guests. Presentation of the fiscal year budget is done so in accordance with General Statute 159-11 that requires a balanced budget to be presented before the board no later than June the 1st of the year, and adoption is required by July the 1st of 2025. So we've got about 30 days to get that done, and so this first pass does open up for a lot of comments and suggestions, and so presenting this here right now. I realize that you just received this packet of information this evening, and so we'll take our time trying to go through it. The department budget lines are generalized. A line item example has not been produced just yet. We'll do so tomorrow at our earliest opportunity. We are working in a new system, and so we're learning a new system and converting and moving away from an old one at the same time, and so there will be some things that do look different in our production of documents, and as we move forward with this OpenGov system, there's a lot of benefits and things like that to us as well that are going to help us in the future as we move forward. Our service is primarily to serve the community. Our primary duty is to serve the community through protection of life, service of property, and providing community services to benefit our citizens. With the statutory requirements that are in place, the budget is designed to promote continued fiscal stability, but also to set ourselves up for the future. That comes through fiscal discipline and efficient allocation of resources and attempting to meet the needs of the community. We'll never be able to accomplish everything in 1 year. We have to look at things on an incremental approach. So this budget was prepared with input through collaborative conversations, including the council, department heads, and routine management meetings as well. Really concerned about with the strategic resource allocation. Our financial health, increasing expenses are happening every day. I'm sure we're all experiencing it, and rarely do we see the costs go down as things continue to go up. And so we are cognizant of that, especially with consumer behavior and so forth. The city has made several strategic investments in the last few years to improve the efficiency in our operation, one being the new finance software program that is just getting started, and we're learning this program and using it, and then also with our human resources program and payroll as well that will be kicking off very soon, starting to get these things implemented and started. And so there's with a lot going on right now, but we will be moving forward, and this time next year this will be a lot more efficient process. We do recognize that we have some variances in our revenues and our expenditures as well. Some of these changes in revenues are dependent upon consumer behavior, as well as through state allocations through the General Assembly as well. In all, the proposed budget that is before you is a total of $19,844,045, which represents a slight decrease from the current year initially adopted budget. This proposed budget includes the current rate of 641 cents per $100 in assessed value that was established last year. Some of the highlights in our revenues, just want to go through some of these, and then also there's a page in the very back of your packet, the last page, that has the revenues table listed by source. But based on the revenue projections, the ad valorem taxes are expected to generate about 8.667 or 668 million after the 1 cent rate allocation to the Roanoke Valley Rescue Squad. Our 0.641 tax rate, it does include that 1 cent allocation. So our revenues, we take off and separate that out to divide that and pay those revenues to the rescue squad. Sales tax is one of our second most significant sources of revenue, and we're seeing some cooling in that. We've had some stability over the years, but there were some peaks in sales tax revenues during the years of COVID. That was probably contributed to a lot of assistance that was provided during those times, but our sales tax is conservatively estimated just under $4 million. The PAL bill funds is another source of revenue that supports our street department and public works activities. As part of that, a pavement condition and management study is recommended before we move forward with additional resurfacing throughout the city. That study is eligible under the PAL bill funding, and that would provide a long-term management plan for restoring the city streets in a priority-based schedule. Other revenues that we receive, ABC taxes and some sales, other different types of revenues as far as our fees and so forth. We don't have any substantial increases right now to report on those as well. And then this balance is budgeted using an allocation from our undesignated fund balance. This had to be used to create a balanced budget and represents about 3.52 of the spending. General fund balance can only be used for one-time or non-recurring expenses. Going into some of the expenditure highlights, our personnel expenses are one of our greatest expenses. It is for all local governments for the most part, because it's the people that are doing the labor, and there's a lot of invisible work, but it's the personnel that continue to serve, and our employees are vital to the delivery of our services, and they really are our most important resource. The employee compensation, as a strategic priority, the budget does include a cost of living adjustment and the implementation of the market-based pay plan that compensates employees for their length of service as well as their position with the city. The market-based pay study was completed and presented to the council on April the 1st, 2025, and an examination of a few different scenarios for personnel. This option was really the best option of a few other ones. The employer-mandated benefits include retirements and health and medical insurance, workers' comp as well. The retirement system through the local government employees retirement system, those rates did increase some for law enforcement and for civilian or non-law enforcement employees, as well as the city's required to allocate a 5% salary contribution for each law enforcement officer in accordance with state law. Our medical and health insurance went up slightly in the current year. We've completed open enrollment, and the city continues to partially supplement some of the elected dependent coverage as we start to phase that out as well. And then voluntary benefits that remain in the budget include the 401k matches up to 3% for general employees, $250 Christmas bonus, and other benefits that are established within the personnel policy, such as vacation, sick days, and tuition reimbursements of such sort. Moving on to the individual departments, or a summary of the departments. We've seen expenditures growing with the inflation trends. The cost of everything just continues to go up. We really do try to keep our expenses down through disciplinary review of those costs and considering the best options available throughout the year through our purchasing process. But we know that investment in our city infrastructure and our human resources remains key priority to ensuring that we can continue our essential services, especially emergency services, environmental health, so that they're adequately funded. Just as a generalized statement, the general government budget basically is a lot of non-departmental or citywide type of cost. Those serve it includes money for our insurances as well as our enterprise fleet vehicle leasing program. And then the the allocations divided by the department. Just as a combination, our public safety for police and the fire departments is combined at about 7.5 million as an investment, and we continue to ensure that they have the equipment and service levels necessary at a minimum. Our debt obligations as we move into FY26 remain consistent with the prior fiscal year. We will satisfy one debt instrument during FY26 that will free up approximately $41,000 next year. We have not taken on any new debts at this point in time, but that doesn't mean that we won't in the future, as we certainly have the needs to do so. Just as a brief conclusion to this budget message, I just want to say that we are committed to fiscal health and service improvement. This budget is intended to sustain our operations and as well as plan for our economic resilience. We do have some challenges that we're going to face and have to deal with here, but we do believe that through a continued and concerted effort, and as our strategic plan is developed and unfolded, that we'll have more direction in the upcoming year, and also with improved efficiencies through our software systems in order to continue to operate effectively. As we continue into the document here, as required in the budget message under the statutes, an analysis of the tax rates are provided as well. The first page of it, there's at the top with appendix, is an analysis that's required from the FY24 audit, and it shows what was collected at the end of the fiscal year. During our current fiscal year, admittedly, while developing it, we initially estimated about 9.7 in ad valorem tax revenues, and then as of April 21st, we've received about 8.6 million in those ad valorem revenues, and an amendment to the budget will be presented to council during our next regular business meeting to make an adjustment on that. I just want to say that we do always intend to and strive to provide accurate estimates. Some unforeseen variables have contributed to some estimates that have that are not going to pan out as we had expected. So there will be a gap in some of the anticipated and actual revenues, and so a budget amendment is advised to correct that, and so we will present that next week. But we do understand that it just it's part of the challenge of addressing rising cost and then also our declining revenues as well. We're working through solutions to prevent this from happening. Again, our new software system that's being installed is going to provide significant transparency opportunities and have everything housed in one system rather than our current methods that are becoming obsolete. On the next page, on the bottom it says page 6 of 7. You see a ad valorem projection for fiscal year 26. This information was provided from the Halifax County Tax Office. And just to note, it shows our real property values from one year to the next. The projected tax year in 2025 is shown, and you'll notice that there has been a slight decrease in those values. Personal property is listed as well, and then public service companies. So our overall valuation has changed about 0.14% from last year to this year. So the county proposes to collect property taxes at a rate of 98.5%. According to the gross figures, 1 cent generates $136,591. We have seen an increase in the motor vehicle taxes for the upcoming year as well. So our net for personal property, real property, and motor vehicle taxes, we're expected to receive $9,674,807. And going to the next page, page 7 of 7 at the bottom. This shows our table of our long-term tax-supported debt, our current obligations. As mentioned here, there's no difference between this year and the prior year, but our total debt obligation is just over $1 million. And so after this year, we'll still owe on the theater bonds as well as the Fire Station number 2 refinancing agreement. Both of those conclude in 2032. And then on the next page here starts a printout of our expenditure sheets. This first page at the top here, the blue, it's FY26 general fund expenses by department. This breaks it down into the department category. So legislative would be your city council budget. General government serves a multitude of things, one of our largest sources as well. The administrative budget includes myself and the city clerk, human resources, 2 employees there, the finance department staff, and there's Main Street, the budget for that position as well in that department. Legal includes our attorney's fees. Information systems meets a lot of our IT network needs and safety solutions. Elections goes to help serve the elections that are held by the County Board of Elections office and having those sites in town. The police department, and then separately the police department and fire department have their own individual budgets. The recreation department, their budgets are contained within several lines with TJ Davis Aquatic Center, Challoner, Recreation, the Senior Center, this building here, the Andrews Meeting Hall, the Kirkwood Community Center, the library, the museum, and the parks, and then also a transportation grant. The planning department includes the planners and the building inspectors and code enforcement officer. Public Works also has multiple divisions within its department, so One is for public works for certain staff, and then they're divided out into various services among the government buildings, central garage, streets, our property maintenance, building maintenance, solid waste, refuse, cemetery. And then tourism allocations, we're expecting about $70,000 to be budgeted for needs that meet their approval. The next few pages behind this page break out the expenses or break out the departments into the various categories of their expenses. So it includes items personnel operating, capital, debt services, and others as well. So you can see in here some of the breakdown in the line item categories of the budget, and then also the sum of what they are. The first column on here is requested by the department, and then the middle column is the adjustment, and then the right column is what's been recommended for inclusion into this balanced budget. Overall, the budget is very much like budgets we've had consistently in the past, where we're addressing many of the needs, but we're also deferring many of the needs for future consideration or for upcoming planning efforts as well. So this does include things that some of the significant needs of our departments and the urgent needs, such as the tough books for the police department, breathing apparatus for the fire department, and some other things that are necessary for continued operation of these departments, especially in our emergency services. At this time, I'd like to ask if you have any questions for me.
Y'all got questions? The items that were the funds that were requested on various different items, and then there was an adjustment either up or down. Most of them were down. Did you make those decisions? I mean, the council did make them. So did you make those basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that comes under the recommended budget coming from me and I did involve our department heads in many of these questions and decisions as we were working to narrow down our budget needs.
If I could remember correctly, in years past, I think the city manager sometimes conferred with the council, kind of like we are somewhat, or at least they are more in touch with the people in the community,
Mm-hmm.
like, what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that might be a little bit better way to use the resources that we have to meet the not only the need, but the desires of what the community would like to see us spend our money on. For instance, one thing would be like demolition. We've had a lot of discussion with citizens about demolition, and I know we're looking at spending some of the tax money for that. We may get some people that are excited and glad about it, and we may get some that don't feel that way. But at least we know, they're more outspoken, I guess, about issues like that, and maybe some of the other things.
And again, this is a first pass, and so we're opening this up now to opportunities for discussion.
How much of the with the money coming from fund balance, have you looked to see what the remaining percentage would be for the fund balance, or having a close idea?
The percentages are based on your budget totals. Right now, we were at about 65%, and it would just make us, I don't know the exact figure, but again, it represents about 3.54% of our operating budget. And also just a reminder that we did return over $800,000 into the budget this current year. But I'll get those numbers for you to estimate what it would be. But it would still keep us within, it would still keep us with a very healthy fund balance. In reviewing it, we've built it up over the last several years. And if we felt it was going to put us in a significant risk, we would certainly have a different plan in place.
And in my conversation with you a few days ago, I believe you said that the funds that we received for the sale of the theater were in a separate, it's not in the undesignated fund balance.
That's
Is that
correct.
Okay.
They're in a restricted,
Does the interest on that money go back into that to pay on the debt, or does the interest go in the general fund?
it all goes back to the general fund. But that 2 million is
You got a question?
set aside and earmarked.
I would like to know what the average overall market pace salary increase is recommended by the compensation study that was done. Do we have any idea what the overall average increase is per?
I would say that the majority of employees, a 3% COLA is all that they're getting.
3%. Okay, and that pretty much applies to all employees.
Yes, so everyone will get their cost of living, and then any full-time employee that was recommended for more increase on that option 3 would get the additional increase as well. But the majority of our employees, the 3% COLA washed out, and we recommended increase from MAPS, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it does, it does. I have had conversation with a few employees, and they've said, I haven't seen an increase since you all did the basic across-the-board amount. So we can feel assured, or rest assured, that everybody's going to at least get at least 3%.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Thank
And we
you.
looked at a couple scenarios where we built in a COLA and merit and some others, and then Ms. Cottle said, let me run the scenario with this option 3 of the MAP study, and financially it was a very obvious choice that would have the greatest benefit for all, and it's based on a third-party vendor's analysis of it. It does not include my salary, which I don't know those numbers. Those are subject to your discussion and approval at a later time, but this market study was done, by a qualified vendor that did do a thorough analysis of our salaries and benefits, and I could speak for myself and many others who have been here for many, many, many years. The merit program has been non-existent, and some departments have had more opportunities than others, but we feel like implementing this pay and class study will go a long way to retaining our employees, and also for recruitment of employees as well. It's been long overdue, and quite frankly, the data will be out of date in just a couple months when July 1 comes around. And so salaries are not decreasing anywhere. They're continuing to increase. The city has undergone a professional study a few times over the years, and for many years you all heard us a little bit reluctant to do so, or to do one, because we go through all the effort of doing one, and then if we don't implement it, it does have a significant impact on employee morale. It does make this proposed salary adjustment provides for, like I said, an increase for everyone, and then does help to catch up on issues that have been long-standing, to provide people with fair and competitive pay based on their position.
Okay, so everyone gets at least a 3%, and then there's a possible merit.
If the option
Okay,
was higher than the 3% COLA, we went with the option.
great. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I do understand y'all are going to continue to have questions, and I wish I had more detail to provide you with tonight, but as we move forward in the next couple days, we'll be able to unveil more of this program and the line item expenses and have those for display.
That concludes your report.
Yes, that
Okay.
concludes my report at this time.
Does anybody from the council have any questions, any additional questions? If there's nothing else that needs to come before the council, then we call for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Just before I adjourn the meeting, just want to thank Mr. Smith for being here with us tonight. I told him if he was worried about being in a large crowd, he made out okay tonight. But anyway, we stand adjourned at this time. Did you not hear her say we're dealing with declining revenue?
Yeah.
But we're going to increase the budget.
Well, you know, we